Good to be back in regular clothes. I hope you got your Turok 1s ready because we're breaking out the Wizards, boys and girls.
And you went with a different intro too. Like
I did. I threw you off.
You threw me off. I'm on the right side. I'm on the wrong side. I don't know what goes on.
I'm on the east side. I'm on the west side.
I'm on the west. Camera 1, camera 2, camera 1, camera 2.
What is up, Defects? Good to be back on a Monday night. We're running a few minutes late, but don't worry. We were getting some stuff set up. It's going to be a really fun show. We're talking comics. We ain't talking MCU tonight. Maybe at the end we'll talk about a little bit. We saw Black Adam. Maybe we'll do a little reaction to that. Who knows? We'll see how much time we have. We got a special guest we're going to bring in a minute. Going to be a fun one tonight. Definitely going to be a fun one. Let me say what up to my boy, Guy Forge.
What's happening? What is up, Defects? Welcome. Monday Night Live. We got football on. I see it at the corner of my eye. Got a little new setup behind me tonight. Tried to mix it up a little bit. Give you guys something to look at besides these ugly mugs.
Who's that chair for?
You know what? Just in case we have a special guest, I got a chair now. So this is fun.
Foreshadowing.
You never know. You might have a special guest sitting back here, hanging out, maybe coming on for an interview. Who knows?
Who knows what's going to happen?
Who knows?
You never know. You never know. Good show tonight, right, Guy? You saw some of the stuff that we had planned.
I'm excited. I mean, we've been I don't want to say off the spec game. Let's just say we've been taking it a little easy from the spec game, right? You know, just because it's all up in the air right now. We don't want to bring shit to the table. So, as they say, you know, shit in, shit out. So, we'll see what goes on. It's going to be fun to talk about it and see, you know, the comparison. Let's leave it at that.
Okay. Got a bunch of people in here already. Got a $5 super chat right off the bat. Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, Marvel Truth. Hey, thanks, Guy, for the shirt. Listen, I'm glad the shirts are getting to where they have to go. Some people took a little bit longer. Sorry about that, but
would you send them via Pony Express?
You know what? Some of them went. Paul Revere was back in the game.
Got it.
I tried to use him and it didn't work. So
okay.
Yeah.
Back here, Chipotle in the house. Usually not on. Got to sleep early. Got to get up and. He's got to distribute, right? We'll just leave it at that.
Wow.
So it's good. I'm good. Wow. Good to see you here tonight, brother. You know why?
What up, Paul?
The shirts didn't go because Paul he wasn't on the case. That's all I'm gonna say.
Maybe that's why.
That's all I'm gonna say. So I think
Gomez is in the house.
What's up, Gomez? What up, Supreme Love? A lot of people in here tonight. Guy Forge, we gotta take care of some bills. We want to hit him. We want to talk about these sponsors real quick.
Yeah, why not? Guys, you know him. Everybody knows him. Erod 212 Express Comic Book Pressing Service. You know that code Defects10 gets you 10% off. If you want your books to look their best, forget about the rest. It's Erod 212 with Express Comic Book Pressing Service. Get him on IG. Get him in the email. He submits to CGC, CBCS. If you want to really do that, that's up to you. If you just want your books looking nice, send them to him, get them back. Look at them. That's all. And everybody's favorite Beaver, Mutant Beaver Comics, straight out of Canada. How do you say Canada? Canada. Mutant Beaver Comics, guys. www.mutantbeavercomics.com. Do not search mutantbeaver.com. That will bring you someplace else. They ship worldwide. Get that 10% discount code Defects10 gets you that 10% off. Tell Pat and the B-Man that the Defects sent you.
Beautiful job. Jay would be proud. Proud.
I try to make Jay proud.
I know. Bringing in a guest guy.
It's Canada, eh?
Canada, eh? Yeah.
You know what? Listen, he knows. It's been a long time coming. This gentleman has never been on the Defects channel, so it's a good first timer right here. I don't want to say we're popping his defect cherry, but it's kind of what we're doing. It's kind of what we do here.
That's it. Let's bring him in. Bryan McClay from Beyond Wednesdays, right? That's the
Gentle.
YouTube.
Gentle.
Yeah.
We're soft.
Yeah.
Don't worry.
What's going on, guys?
Good to see you, Brian. Long overdue. Great part of this community. Great mind in this community. Great voice in this community. So very happy to have you on. The segment that I cooked up just kind of popped in my head. I said, you know what, this guy's perfect for this segment. So let's make it happen. So it was kind of last minute thing, but here we are. So
I'm glad
we're
here. Hell yeah, man. Hell yeah.
Welcome,
I've been looking forward to this. So hello, everybody in the chat. I enjoy your guys' content. It's been a long time coming, and I think that one of the things that we can be better about as content creators is trying to get in this community back to actually a community. I feel like it's kind of fell apart the last couple of years, or a year and a half maybe, and yeah, man, I think doing this, getting on other people's show, collaborating, and making an actual community is important. So, and we were talking about it before the show, how great it is to make content for people and how fun it is. So even better.
And I hate to say it, Brian, but we've only been around a couple of years, so I hope we're not responsible for that. So
maybe
maybe just a little, but you never know. Just throwing it out there, Don, Big Daddy Ross, for that $10 super chat. He said, "Good to see everyone." It is good to see everyone.
Yeah, it's and that's a good point, Brian. I mean, it's something that we have to be responsible for, right? Like that's where we have that responsibility. Part of it, a big part of it, lands on the shoulders of us and channels like yours and ours and other channels, the Garys of the world, the New York Warriors of the world. Let's get this shit back together. Yeah. Weed out all the negativity, where it's not required, right? Because there's always room for criticism when things are out of place. But the stuff that isn't needed, get rid of it, and let's just make it stronger. And I think that's a good way to start the show.
And go back to having fun, because that's what it's all about.
Yeah,
absolutely.
Yeah, that's the key. That's the key. When it's fun, it's easy.
Mm-hmm.
Very true. Very true. All right. So Brian's linked, and we'll talk. And if there's anything that you want to throw out there about your show at any point, jump in there. We'll do it at the end as well. But the links to all Brian's content are in the description of this video. So if you're watching it on the rewind, you can click there. If you're watching it now, take a quick second, run over, sub him up. I got his YouTube and his link tree are linked in the description. So check him out. If you need to, just in case you don't know who he is and you want to, vet him a little bit, well, you're gonna get a firsthand, up close and personal to see if he deserves your subscription, right? So this is trial by fire, which is always good.
If you guys enjoy old school nostalgia in every form with a heavy dose of cannabis, I suggest you check it out. So
I mean, I see Joe Boo sitting right next to you right now. So.
Yeah,
Amen.
I love Joe Boo, man.
I got this recently.
So cool.
From a listener, which is awesome, which makes it even better.
Absolutely.
We were talking about how great that movie was and how I want my own Joe Boo, and it showed up on my doorstep. So again, thank you to everybody out there that watches. We share a lot of viewers and a lot of people. So thank you to everybody out there that watches this content and enjoys us enough to send us goodies. So
isn't it great when he brought him a bucket of chicken?
Oh my God, man. Oh my God.
It's one of my favorite things.
I had to go clip that part where he steals his shot, up your butt, Joe Boo.
Up your butt, Joe Boo. Yeah, that's great.
We say that all the time.
He walks outside and the bat flies and hits him in the head.
Yeah.
That's great.
So good.
Oh man. So all right, let's jump right into this and basically how I'm gonna I did a lot of the research and clipping for this, but it's just to get the ball rolling, right? It's just to start the conversation. It's a conversation starter, and then we're gonna see where it takes us. And Guy, highlight the comments that look good that you want us to address, and we'll just go from there. So, guys, basically the way this show came about was I said, let's talk something spec related, but let's talk about almost like the state of spec. I've been hearing a lot of people saying spec is dead, spec is gone. Some people are happy about it. Some people are indifferent about it. Some people are annoyed about it because maybe they're sitting on some spec stuff. And some people for our channel, we're not even like spec heavy buyers. We buy some spec, but we just like doing it because it's fun. It's a puzzle that we're trying to figure out. We're trying to fit pieces together. So we just enjoy doing it. So for us, it was frustrating to see it go away because it took away something that we really enjoyed, doing that research and kind of putting pieces together to see whether we were right or wrong. So that's how this started. And I said, well, sometimes to see what's going to happen in the future, you have to see what's already happened. So I started going back on data, and I said, I need to find old data. And a lot of the websites that we use now only go back a certain amount of time, and it really wasn't enough to get the picture that I think we needed. So I started finding wizards, and luckily I was able to find an archive online that had almost all of them. Majority of them were complete with the price guide and everything. Some of them didn't have the price guide, so that was okay. I skipped over those. And I said, let me find a small little trail that we could follow, like an up and down, to see, was there speculation before? Like, are we just in a cycle? Like most things, are we just in a cycle that we just have to ride it out? And at some point at the end of the tunnel, we're going to be, I don't want to say we'll be back where we were, but it'll just feel a little better than it is right now. Right? Does that make sense, boys?
Amen.
Totally.
Okay. So what I found a ton, but there was, it's like I didn't have enough time to clip, 1,000 pages, but that's what I wanted to do. So I started off, let's see, we'll go on the bottom there. That should be good. So I started off with Wizard number 5. Okay, from January 1992. And you can see I have highlighted there. This is ASM 101, first appearance of Morbius. Okay. And you can see the price there is a $35 book at this time. All right. And we're going to take a little journey with Morbius, who, not a hero, right? So we know that heroes and villainess, depends what storyline you catch them in, but villain, they don't hold as much weight, right? They usually don't hold their value as long, Brian, right? Is that almost 99% the
I feel like the only place that villains ever hold value is in the Star Wars world, right? But what's very funny about this is you look at old wizards, and I love looking at old wizards. One of my favorite things to do is to walk into a comic shop and ask if they have old wizards, because usually you can find them polybagged and they're $1 a piece, and you can find just great nostalgia right out of these old wizards. And old wizards, especially growing up on them, you always knew that first appearances were great, but what was also valued? Second appearances and origin stories. And look at the value of 102. It's the same value as 101.
Yep. Absolutely.
Which is amazing.
It's, I was gonna say that for a little later, but it's a good time to do it now. Is the stuff that I found in the wizards that I don't remember. Now I remember it, but before doing this little research project, I didn't. It was like they had top 10 lists in the wizard. They had obviously the price guide. They had the market watch. Usually it was 2, 3, or 4 pages of the market watch. And I clipped a couple pages of the market watch, and we could even, after we're done here, we could even go. I could bring up live, some of the books that I found, and we could flip through them and just see what they say. Darkhawk #1 top spec book. There you go. So it was really amazing to see, and it kind of did. The story basically wrote itself before I even started, because it's like this has happened before several times. It's going to continue to happen. We're not in an unprecedented time. Things go up, things go down, things go back up, things go back down, and on and on and on we go. So let's take a little journey here and talk about the first appearance of Morbius starting in January of 1992. Okay, so you can see $35 book. All right. So the next thing that happens with this book, and this is again straight from Wizard, it's basically one of those sections of like things to come. What's coming out this month or next month. What's hot that's coming out. And obviously you can see right here, July 21st of 1992, $2.75 cover price. Morbius #1 is coming out. What happened during this time was that crossover event, right? It was a pretty big crossover event with the Midnight Suns. Okay. Mm-hmm. So clearly one of, I don't know, Brian, do you remember, was it part 4 or 5 was Morbius 1?
I can't remember. I do. Yeah, I do remember that it definitely got cut up into a lot of other titles. It was a big deal back then.
It
A
was.
major deal.
Yep. So basically, it says, I've always liked this guy, even when he was running around trying to bite Spidey. But now Morbius is a good guy, and he beats the crap out of those who prey on the innocent. But he doesn't stop there. Oh no! After he slapped the bad guys around for a while, he puts the big kibosh on them with nifty Grandpa Monster Teeth. But wait, there's more. It's the awesome Rise of the Midnight Suns crossover. Morbius discovers that he's being followed by government agents. Yada yada yada. So basically, a little. So now it's the oh my god, I'm drawing a blank. Solicitation.
Yep.
It's a solicitation, and maybe we can go on the side here. How about that? That's better.
Some info of the stories to come.
Yeah. What does it say there, guy?
Well, Popo Chili Town has a good point. He said Wizard was the influencer of the 90s. Bone only came a thing because Wizard pumped it like crazy. It's a good book, but the values went bonkers after Wizard pumped it.
It's so funny because I was going to talk about that too in a little bit. I was going to say, did these books get hot because of Wizard, right? And that's a conversation that we could have, and it kind of
that's a great conversation. That's
right?
a great conversation.
I think you have, just to make a point of what you were saying before, villains and heroes and blah blah blah. I think Brian made a good point that the Star Wars villains, I think, hold more value than any of other villains. I think anti-heroes hold a bigger in Marvel and stuff like, or in DC, have a bigger impact than villains. Let's put it that way.
Would you so here's something that I say a lot when it comes to like good stories or good movies or a good writer. A good writer will take a character and make you hate him for the first half of the story, and then make you fall in love. Yes, you're rooting for the guy you're hating, and it happens in the best. It happened with Jaime Lannister in Game of Thrones.
I was just going to say that.
Yeah. I mean, it happens in the Star Wars world all the time with almost every character. When you hate somebody and then they have that hero turn, right? It's that one of the most famous writing tropes there is, but it's famous because it works. People love it. They root for that person.
It's
you can't tell me you weren't rooting for Kaiser Soze.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah.
Come on. When the guy started looking at the thing, and I was back in that barbershop quartet in Skokie, Illinois.
Yeah, there you go.
Come on.
And we've been talking about writers a lot here recently because of the MCU, and that we think is the number one problem that they've had recently. And again, we could talk about that later. But it's the same as comics, right? Good comic series versus bad comic series. Clearly, it's a book. So good writers make a good comic series, make for good heroes and villains, make for good arcs. So this isn't rocket science, guys. You need good writers, whether it's a book or a movie. And it seems like people have forgotten that for some reason.
Yes.
Yeah.
We're all Negan. There you go.
Amen. Yeah, Robert Kirkman's very good at that. Very good at that.
All right, so this is pulled from now, fast forward a month. Okay, so after that little tidbit that said Morbius #1 was coming out, this is from the Market Watch section of Wizard #12 in August of 1992. I'll try to read some of it. I don't think I'm going to read all of it. Maybe I could just skip to
if you want me to.
You want to read it? Go ahead. Go ahead.
Just tell me. You tell me.
Go for it, brother.
You want the whole thing? It says, where is Marvel in all of this? Where have they been for quite some time, and where they'll be for the foreseeable future? On top of the world. Even with the departure of the big-name artists for Image Press rocking the boat a little, the house that Stan Lee built is still on a real solid foundation. Sales on their regular mainstays, X-Men, Spidey, Punisher, are still super high on the charts, and the new crop of hot artists, Mark Bagley, Ron Lim, Sam Keith, and up-and-comers Joe Quesada, Jay Lee, and Liam Sharp seem prepared to keep Marvel king of the hill. Amid all this hotness, a few of Marvel's old mainstays appear to have gotten the shaft. Titles which helped make Marvel what it is today have really been hitting the skids as of late. Iron Man, the Fantastic Four, Thor, all oldies, have been far from goodies. Here's hoping that some attention is shown to these important titles. As for Marvel back issues, as a whole, they're doing nicely, but two major books have dropped in attention since last issue. New Mutants 87, the first appearance of Cable, and Uncanny X-Men number 201, the rumored first appearance of Cable Baby, have both lost some fan following. This could be attributed to the tremendous fan focus on Image Press right now, or the sudden surge for Valiant back issues taking up all the collectors' money. Some hot books from Marvel backlist include just about any comic in which Morbius, the living vampire, appeared, especially his first appearance in Amazing Spider-Man 101. Other hot book issues Marvel include the hologram-covered issue, the Spidey's 30th Anniversary Comics, New Warriors, and Punisher Warzone.
Thank you, Guy Forge.
So cool.
Yeah, man.
I got chills just like hearing that,
Yeah.
right? Like the up and coming artist Mark Bagley, Ron Lim. Like,
Could it have been the way I read it? I don't know.
it's possible.
You did a good job. You did a
The
good job.
delivery, I think, was there. So
It's just fun to read this, to see that again. This is what's happening now, or what's about to continue to happen has happened before, right? Like it literally said here, people are shifting their attention from one thing to another. Right now, we're in a time where we're oversaturated with spec from 2021 and 2020 and 2021. We're oversaturated. We have a ton of things happening in the world of, TV shows and the big screen. It's impossible for the collector community to have focus on every key that it falls into the fold. So clearly some things are either going to get hot and get not very quickly, or some things are just going to go by the wayside because there's only so much attention to spread around. So it just feels like history repeating itself. I mean,
Well, everything's cyclical, right? We say that in spec all the time. That something that's in your dead spec box will become hot, in a month or two. It's just the way it is, and I think that it also kind of is that way on almost everything. But here's the problem to me, and this is a bigger picture type thing, is that I feel like there was a boom. There was like a speculator boom that happened right at the time that Wizard was coming out. I mean, that's why Wizard came out, right? Because of that first speculator boom. But the speculator boom that happened recently, within the last 10 years is a different monster. I think that speculator boom back then, the majority of the people who were buying comics were still buying comics to read comics because they enjoyed. They could care less what's on the cover. They could care less what it's worth. They could care less the condition. It's the opposite now, right? I think that's the problem. And I think that's also why that we have all this stuff going on and people just can't key in on one thing. And that's why things get hot so fast and they die so quickly, right? You're on to the next one. It's very interesting. It's very weird. And looking at these old Wizards kind of, opens your eyes to that, especially when at some point you're going to start seeing prices fall in these Wizards.
It's funny. It's funny, Brian, when you said before you go to your local shop and you say, do you have any Wizards and everything like that? The only thing that went through my head is you could just come to my attic. It'll be a lot easier. And you can find them all.
They're great, dude.
I should have just went to Guy's house to do this project,
Yeah.
My God.
You're 100% right. And that kind of piggybacked on what I said about, the only so much attention to go around, where, like you said earlier, used to focus on the first appearances, second appearances, the origin, the first solo title. It was like a playbook. Like everyone knew like these were, and now it's like we're focused on things that they just hold no value. I mean,
no.
I mean, how many copies of Ninja Funk 1 are we gonna, how many covers are we gonna see for that? That's a whole nother show that we could talk about. Yeah. I saw an article that said comic shops were very annoyed that issues were being sold prior to it even coming out. So we could do that. We could do that show another time. But it just goes to show that attention, not only the movies, but there's so many other things that are drawing people's attention away. Some good and some not so good, right? Unfortunately. So what happens? We have that little comic market analysis article in August, and in September of 1992, 1 month later, in the Wizard number 13, Amazing Spider-Man 101 shows up on the top 10 hot list in Wizard. Yes, there was top 10 lists even in 1992. This is nothing new, people. This is nothing new. So now the question was it hot because there was an article, or was there an article because it was hot?
Wait, in 92 there was a top 10 comics list? Wow.
Yes, this is
Wow.
true. So again, the chicken and the egg. Did it make the list because it was in the article the month before, or was it in the article the month before because it was hot already? We'll never know, right? It's you know.
You can to be honest, sometimes you can prove that, and you can do it in a way just by watching certain shows. I mean, even our own shows. We talk about certain books, and you can literally see them being bought up on eBay as people are talking about them. So that's exactly what Wizard was doing back in the day.
It has happened before.
Yeah. So
just
it's
a lot harder a lot easier to cover your tracks though in 1992 because
yes,
right?
Yes.
I
can't wait for the next slide. So I'm waiting patiently.
Yeah, the next one's good too. So let's keep going on the journey with this journey of Morbius, okay?
Yeah.
So right off the bat, as of November, right? So we go August, September, November. ISM 101 is at number 3 on the top 10. You could see it right there, top 10, October 1992, and we could see that the first appearance of Morbius has gone from, what did we start at?
35.
The second appearance has now doubled, and the first appearance has tripled with a little bit extra, moving to $145. That is a fairly big jump in a 3 to 4 month span, to be honest with you.
Let's talk about that time period. You can already see they put out that second print 101 at that time period, if I'm not mistaken, right? Marvel capitalized on that. And wasn't at that time period the same time period when the famous Spider-Man cartoon came out, when Morbius had that big part in that 90s cartoon? Mm-hmm. So this is a perfect example where you see a character getting super hot and everything kind of falling in place. Boom, a 3-4 times value than a month before.
I wonder if you can check like toys at that time too.
Yeah,
because obviously if they're hitting on all cylinders, they're taking advantage of all markets too.
Yep.
And it's funny that I must have read 20 different market watches and looked through the price guide of 20 different Wizards, but somewhere in there it did mention the shows, the animated shows. So, but we'll show a different character having to do with shows and movies. But sometimes even before 2022, right? Even before this kind of downturn that we're having with suction cups, there you go. Yeah. I kept saying to myself, like, what really holds this not even the spec market, but why is a comic get hot? Yeah, Harbinger #1 was #1 for a very long time. It was like 5 months in a row.
We're gonna talk about that because I got like 30 copies upstairs, and I don't think one of them is the copy that I need.
Yeah. It's like, what keeps these prices up? And it's like, does it in the grand scheme of things, does it matter that a character shows up somewhere, or like does that intrinsically increase his value? And it's us, right? It's the people that are missing out or feel like I need that in my life. Nostalgia is a huge part of it.
They never had that before, because where the fuck was he showing up?
Well, that's
in the comics.
You're right, in the comics. But guess what? We're gonna show that other things outside of comics did influence some of these prices. Good. Okay. But I think the best, we had talked about it on our show during COVID, and we were so happy during 2020 when comic book story arcs were moving comic prices like movies were in 2019. I thought that was like the greatest thing, and then it all kind of went to hell in a handbasket when we, came back with WandaVision, right?
Yes, yeah. Well, what's interesting is that back then, if a character got a great storyline in a comic book series, right, or a writer got changed to a comic book series that you really liked, it would cause that character to go up in value because more people were reading it, more people were falling in love with the character and asking for back issues to read of that character, right? Okay. So, and I think that's kind of how Wizard started. Didn't they have comic book owners that were writing into them, hey, these are the copies that are
Yes.
selling a lot. These are
Yeah.
what's coming out of the back issues.
That's how it started. Yep. And they
Yeah.
still did it to the end. I think that's how they got their price guide.
And it doesn't really happen anymore, even though we're still making comics. We're making many more comics than we did back then. Even if there's a good series, it really doesn't move the needle as much as a option news, TV show appearance, movie appearance, any type of rumor on movie or big screen or a TV show type thing, than a good comic book, if that makes sense.
No, it does, because I feel there's some things that are organic and there's some things that are forced, right? The organic things are always going to have the staying power. And yeah, we can definitely talk about that more too in a bit, because it's just like, if you think, when we'll save that for the end. We'll say it because I don't want to jump. I don't want to jump the gun. So, all right, let's keep going on this journey. 2 more quick price checks. We bump ahead a little bit, about 8 months, and you could see this is kind of the high. I'm sure there was maybe an issue in between that I missed, but as of July, okay, of 1993 in Wizard 23, we were at $225. So now almost a doubling again. So we are almost 7 times multiplier. By today's standards, that's enormous, right?
Yeah.
A 7 times multiplier. And then in October in Wizard 26, so 3 months later, it still held. So this thing increased and held for over a year. Okay, after that initial release, and obviously comics are month to month, so they do take a little bit longer to go up and then come back down. It's a slower ascent, so there's going to be a slower descent, right? That seems to be the case always with this stuff. So we'll keep going, and I think this is where we start to see the decline. So we're going a year ahead. We're going to August 1994, and you'll see that it dropped to $155, while the second print is I think that's $15. I think that one has to do with the giant size one. Yeah. So it went back down to $15, lower than what it was prior to this news. And then in 2 years, we jumped ahead 2 years. It only lost a little bit more value. It went down to $125. Okay.
It says the reprint, the 101A reprint was $2.
Yeah, reprints didn't really get any love until recently.
Yep.
The second prints, that wasn't a thing,
Yeah.
Yeah, you never wanted a second print. You wanted the first print.
Why get rewarded for being late to the party, right?
Yep.
But apparently that's changed. Somebody told us that changed, so All right, so we could see this isn't, we're not doing rocket science here. We had up and down, right? Pretty easy. Oh, Thorough in the house. What do you got, Guy?
He said, "What up, Cousins? Defects, I'm here for the party. I heard Guy brought the soup to salad. I always bring the soup to salad, bro. You know that.
Oh, man. So a little excerpt from... So that was... Oh, wait a minute. That was the end of the journey for Morbius. That's another discussion on the next slide. So very easy to see that character got hot, up, down, comic spec, attention, different storylines. Like Bryce said, the animated series definitely played a part in that. The picture was complete. The puzzle was all put together from various standpoints, probably purposely, right, on the comic creators' part and Marvel's part, and the market adjusted accordingly. It went up and then it went back down. It's out of sight, out of mind. On to bigger and better things. I'm sure we can go and find, at the same time Morbius was going down, another comic was shooting through the roof. Okay, you could look through these things for days. There's so much good information. So this is a journey that we've seen a lot of books take recently. Some a little bit more violently. This took 2 years to have its full arc. We're seeing things happen in 2 months now, right?
Mm-hmm.
Days. What I mean? You see something come out on Wednesday, and by Friday it's on a top 10 list and selling for 3 times the amount on eBay, right?
Yep. Guy, you want to read this? Do you have this one up, Guy, too?
Yeah.
So the next couple slides are basically other excerpts from the Market Watch and showing that movies and shows are even moving the needle back then. So, Guy, if you want to read that one real quick,
so here
give me 20 seconds. I'll be back.
Yeah, here we go. This is, it says Dark Horse is releasing Aliens vs. Predator 2 soon, with scripts by Chris Claremont. This, in combination with the 30 million Alien vs. Predator movie that has translated into increased interest in the original Aliens vs. Predator, especially for the number 0 issue, which seems to be a tough one to get. This new project also brings us the cool product of the month. That's fun. I guess they did like a cool product of the month thing. That's a fun thing. The premium edition of Aliens vs. Predator 2 number 1. It will be signed and numbered by Claremont and features a built-in sound chip that makes alien predator noises when you open it up.
I want one of those.
Yeah. I mean, if that's not cool,
I have to find one of those now.
See, now take a screenshot. Take a screenshot. Uh-huh. So imagine finding that now and having Aliens versus Predator number. So here, Defects. Let's put it out there. If anybody has this book, Aliens versus Predator number 2, Aliens versus Predator 2 number 1, it's signed and numbered by Claremont and features a built-in sound chip that makes alien and predator noises when you open it. That's pretty cool.
I never knew that until I read this.
Pretty cool.
That is awesome.
That's pretty badass.
I'm actually looking right now just to see if there's any available.
There you go. Yeah, all of a sudden there's going to be a run on this book.
Mm-hmm. I mean, how cool would it be to open it up and cool. Hear that?
I never even knew that existed.
That's fun.
So again, this isn't new. What we've seen since 2010, 11, whatever you want to call it. This isn't new. This has been
Matt,
happening.
before you go into I know you want to talk. I know. I get it.
This is cool stuff, man.
Dave Cerrone comes in and makes a perfect point. He said 130 watching, 66 likes. Let's hit that thumbs up for solid research. It's his first time here, Matt. I mean,
this is true.
You want to play a nice, hit that thumbs up video?
We like to say smash.
Smash that thumbs up. Smash the like button.
Gotta smash it.
but all I gotta say is that's someone's mother, bro, and she's on our channel.
Is.
So
yeah,
she was okay.
That makes it even better.
Yeah, cocaine's a hell of a drug.
Never dies.
Cocaine's a hell of a drug.
Couple more. I got a couple more that I snipped, and again, we could grab. This one was really cool, actually. We can pull up more if you guys want. If you want to look at something specific, even though recent Marvels don't sell well as back issues, except for Ren and Stimpy. Interesting. Silver Marvel still rocks, especially in low grade. Early Spider-Man and the ever elusive Incredible Hulk number 1, we were just talking about that, Bri, are flying out of the stores. Recent books like Wolverine 10 and Amazing Spidey 298 are back from the dead. Early Venoms like Spidey 300, 315 through 317, and 344 through 347 continue at a fast clip. Newcomer Web of Spider-Man 18 has jumped on this bandwagon on the strength of David Michelini's revelation right here in Wizard that the arm that was going to push Spidey onto the subway tracks was actually the character that would become Venom. I think that's so awesome. And stuff like that, we've seen it even recently move the needle on books, and it's so cool to see even back then when you hear it right from the source that, hey guys, that's Brock right there, and all of a sudden everyone's grabbing that book. I think that's
and
so
you know
cool.
What's funny about that? That happens to this day, and still there's people out there that will say, no, even though he said it, I still don't believe him. I got the spec on the other one. You know what I mean?
I mean, whatever, but. Stuff like this is cool,
That's fun. That's fun though to grab again. And if you guys have these, just go through your old Wizard, man. You know what? Take it out of the poly bag. Look at it. Look inside there. They got some cool articles, man. And these guys go through some stuff that, you know what? Maybe you didn't know. Maybe you missed back in the day. Maybe you weren't paying attention to it, and then now you are paying attention to it because you're interested in different stuff than you were when you were a kid and these came out.
I believe in that same article where Michelini talks about that, he also says that originally Venom was supposed to be a female, so that's why the hand that pushes him looks like a female hand.
Interesting. It was frail.
Yeah. Yeah.
One more snip. It was Aunt May. One more snip, and then we can continue to break it down a little bit. This was pretty cool. X-Files. This was from Wizard 51, 1995 November. X-Files continues to be a hot item as fans of the show clamor for a fix during the summer months of incessant reruns. Many store owners are unable to track down copies of number 1 to replace their supply. Prices remain stable at $35 for number 1 and $15 for number 2. Those are two strong prices.
That's
funny. After the fact, the show was out. There's just reruns going, and people were like, "I miss it, so I want to go buy a copy of number 1." That's This is real, guys. Like, this is going to continue to happen. It's cyclical, like Brian said before.
Yeah. Yeah, I wish it's funny, you talk about the Hot 10 and how it's been happening forever. When the Hot 10 first started for CBSI, that's how we got all the art for it. We literally went into Wizard and copied the art for it, you know what I mean? And you can go back and look at those it instantly takes you back to a point where, like, you can the smells, like they remind
exactly
you
what you're talking about.
You know what I mean? Like,
absolutely.
And you open up those old school Wizards, and your eyes are trained to see the Hot 10, in the font that it's in, or your eyes are trained to see that little circle next to the book that says first appearance or cameo. You're already, because you looked at that when you were a kid, and you were always searching for that stuff.
And I'll tell you too, I'm going to be honest with the artists that came out with that. I have my Wizard number 1, and I have it, and I looked at it. We brought it out on a couple of our shows too that we did a while ago. And I'm sitting there and I'm looking at it, and I'm going, they have an article with I think it's Jim Lee, Rob Liefeld, and Todd McFarlane, and they're talking about artists and new artists and stuff. I'm going, what? I'm going, this is, and they're showing them at the table together and stuff like that. And I go, this is pretty cool. But some of the art that's on these was like the coolest shit you've ever seen. Like, because they wanted to make their covers awesome. Let's put it out there. They wanted to make them stand out. Matt'll tell you, Brian, this is really cool. I have a friend of mine who's actually almost like a cousin of mine. When you're Italian, you have friends they're more cousins than friends. He worked for someone who worked for Wizard, and I have I think maybe, I want to say 4 or 5. I probably have like 6 to 8 if I get them all together. Uncut sheets from Wizard from the covers, like uncut. Like, if I just roll them out, it's the cover of like number 12, like whatever it is. Like, you know what I'm saying? Yeah. Like, and I still have them rolled up. Like, I never framed them. I never did anything with them. They're still they're away. I go, this will be a cool thing to break out and kind of like, because they're uncut. They're the uncut covers. Like,
so here's something interesting, and I'm glad you brought that up. The collectability of Wizard is very underrated right now, because a lot of people don't know this. There are Wizard covers by J. Scott Campbell, Joe Quesada. Your favorite artists right now did Wizard covers that you can find nowhere else. And Alex Ross, my favorite all-time Alex Ross drawing that he did was from a centerfold poster in a Wizard. You know what I mean? And you can't find that anywhere. J. Scott Campbell did a Wolverine versus Snake Eyes cover. That is absolutely amazing. You're not going to see that anywhere. So when at some point we have to start, we're already seeing it with Wizard number 1. Wizard number 1 is crazy sales. The San Diego edition is getting 3, 4, 5,
bonkers
600
right now. Yep.
Yeah,
I mean, people are slamming them, right?
Yeah, and they should be. You should be, right? Because magazine collecting is cool, and magazines, certain magazines out there can go for crazy money. People don't realize that. But why hasn't Wizard done that already? I feel like it should have done that 10 years ago.
I feel the same way. I feel like it's I don't know why it's not valued higher than it is. I'm sure it's collected that way. I'm sure it's collected that way. I'm almost positive it is, because obviously I know I do, and I'm sitting there and I'm like, I know other people, are somewhat interested in the same thing I am too. Yeah. So I'm sure it's collected in the way we feel like it should be valued, but I don't think it's valued at the level where it should be.
Did you look in the inside of your San Diego edition to see if the interior poster was signed by McFarlane?
No.
So, obviously, we've already said it. Yeah, I have 2 of them, and I opened up, and because it was given out at San Diego that year, a lot of people took them to McFarlane and had him sign them. And it's actually the old school McFarlane signature, his original one that he doesn't use anymore. And it unfortunately, because people have had those in bags and boards, it will kind of flake when you open it up. But a lot of those are signed. The 2 I have, both are signed by McFarlane.
I don't think mine is a San Diego. I don't think mine is a San Diego. I think mine's just a regular one.
Well,
if I remember, I mean, I don't even. If I remember it correctly, I think it's just regular. I don't even think I looked at it, but
there's 3 of the regular ones that everybody needs to be on the lookout for. Obviously, the San Diego stamped one, which says San Diego stamped on the front in gold. The regular, and then there's a newsstand. I didn't realize forever that there was a newsstand copy of Wizard one. Yeah.
Guy, that's probably what you have, to be honest.
The one I have is I've had since I was a kid. Like
that's awesome.
I bought it. It as a kid.
Cumberland Farms.
It was probably from Cumberland Farms. Like that's where
newsstand.
So I mean, I bought it. It was mine. I knew it was mine, and I kept it the way. It was hard as a kid not to look through these things. I'm gonna be honest. Like Matt makes fun of me of my
gently.
my McFarlane Spidey #1s, like the classic McFarlane one that I have all the different colors, and like I got a couple of them in 9/8, and these were books that I had as a kid. Like I never opened them. Like I never opened it. It was mine. I said, I'm keeping this. I'm keeping it nice. I'm keeping it crisp. I'm not going to ruin it. And like told my mother, don't touch my comics. We got a super chat from former Trout, always hanging with us. He said, hell guys, that was some damn good content. How do we make Wizard flashbacks a regular thing? Listen, we may do this every once in a while, so maybe it's a fun thing to talk about.
I mean, now that I have this, I have a good amount of them at my disposal. Sure. So basically, to answer the question, we could kind of go around the horn here. On the thumbnail, like, is the spec game gone? And I'll just answer quick and basically say no. It's not gone. Maybe it's for right now. You're not going to see it for a little while, but I think everything's cyclical. You have a perfect storm, right? We had this bubble right before. We have, you could throw in what's happening in the economy, right? There's clearly instability, regardless of whether you want to say it's a recession or this or that. It doesn't matter. There's instability. People are becoming a little bit more careful with their money as compared to what we saw in 2020 and 2021. So there's not much money changing hands, especially for things like collectibles, right? You have the MCU, which is a big driver of prices, and we'll call it the DCU now, at a real crossroads right now, where they're making content where the comic book community, a huge, like the core of their viewership, is overall not happy. So you have that factor is playing against. You have this perfect storm. To me, I'm honestly surprised that prices aren't actually lower than they are right now, considering all of those things, because most books that I look at are still well over what their prices were in 2019 and even 2020, because
people forget that a lot, because everything went so high,
like
in some cases still double, that's a big jump still,
Yeah. Well, there's also, we have to factor in the amount of new collectors in our hobby, right? That is probably the biggest driver of everything that's happened in the last couple of years, with prices and stuff, is the new amount of people that are out searching. But now you also have those people who came in that might have gotten into the game. Let's be honest here. How many new online retailers do you guys know that have popped up in the last, year alone,
Yeah.
and that were never into comics before, that are now that listen to all the shows, that have all the Discord channels, right? There's all these people that now know where to find the good stuff, right? Where to go and get that amazing cornbread. They know where to go get it, and more people are fighting for it, right? That's bringing that down, and that's a big problem too. So the question becomes, how do we? Is there a way for us to save it? Like, are there things that we can do that can make our the collectability and comics better? And I think yes, by influencing maybe the publisher to do stuff. Look what happened with the whole C2E2 thing. You know, the community went, hey, there's something wrong here. Marvel said, you know what? We're listening to our community. We're making a change, right? I think that that's starting to happen right now with retailer variants, exclusive variants, non-incentive variants. You guys are probably yelling in the aisles the same as I am, that we have to stop this craziness of every book having 10 different exclusive variants that have by the same homage that's been done 2 times just the week before. You know what I mean?
No.
It's crazy. And that's another factor, another layer on top of why things are down, because that's just another place where people, if you're spending your money there, you're not spending it somewhere else.
Yep.
Right. And we talked about New York Comic Con, and, I don't want to see the community hurting price wise. Like, we could talk about the community in so many different, but if we're just talking strictly price wise, I don't want to see the community hurting. But I was almost happy to see the resale value. And if you bought resale and you were trying to flip from New York, hey, more power to you. And I apologize, but I'm going to make this statement. I was almost happy to see that those books were not getting as much money as we've seen in the past, because there was so many fucking exclusives at New York. It was crazy. And I think that may have been the tipping point. Like, are those same people going to go and spend as much as they did come, I don't know if, Baltimore, I don't know if there's as much of an exclusive game, but, MegaCon, or, what's the first big show next year after MegaCon?
Baltimore's going to September, right?
Baltimore's this year, right? I don't know how many
San
exclusives
Diego?
they usually do at Baltimore. I guess there's probably
Usually
quite a few,
Baltimore.
right?
Usually Baltimore is not exclusive heavy. I mean,
That's what
let's
I
be
mean, yeah.
honest. Most cons weren't exclusive heavy, other than the few exclusives put out by the big publishers. Marvel would, that famous J. Scott Campbell Black Panther with Shuri on the cover with the beautiful black and white background, and she's in color splash. That was an exclusive put out by Marvel, right? So usually the only exclusives that you got, or variants exclusives that you got, were by the publishers. Not somebody that runs or has a 9-to-5 and decided, hey, they wanted to get into the variant game and create an online retailer. Now there's 10,000 of those. I'm obviously less than that, but there's so many of those out there that are pumping these exclusives, and then you start seeing crazy things like, oh, okay, this is a Baltimore Comic-Con exclusive, but I'm not going to sell them all out at Baltimore, right? Because I printed 3,000 of them. So you're going to be able to buy them on my whatnot for the next year and a half.
So this is where I come into. I don't get mad at anyone for what's the word I'm looking for? For running their game. Let's put it that way, right? Everyone has the right to do it. Everyone has, good for
on
you.
The up and up, right?
As long as it's not some shady business, man. I've been in business for 25 years. I am my own salesperson. I do what I do, and I've never done it the wrong way. I'll tell you that much. Okay? And I just don't like when people do it the wrong way. Yeah. There's something to say about being a good person. You can still make money and be a good person and take care of the people that turn around and take care of you. It's okay. How long ago was the phrase came, one hand washes the other, man. It doesn't mean you got to take the little guy over the coals to make $1. Okay, there's good ways to do things and there's bad ways to do things. And being brought back into this and having this platform to talk about it has brought a lot of things to light, man. I mean, I've seen crazy shit over the last year that I'm like, I never was aware of. And I'll tell you this much, your question of whether it's happening or whether it's going to continue to happen, there's going to be those people out there no matter what. I don't care what you say. And they're going to do what they do. And they're going to keep doing it. Gorilla Todd, what's up, man? Good to see you. They're going to keep doing what they're doing. Like, no matter what. I don't care. Because you know what? A sheep is a sheep. Yeah. A wolf is a wolf. Okay? Yeah. You can disguise yourself as much as you want to. But you know what? Can't see me. Like, it's flat out the way it is, man. Yeah. Call a spade. I'm sorry, but like,
well, we have to do that.
The way you act shows. Eaten. The way you act shows, and you can only hide for so long because you know what?
Yep, people talk.
Okay, that's all I got to say about that.
It's also, remember, and we've been talking about this for a while now, and I think people are starting to realize that it's true, especially within this, the comic book world, is how you spend your money says a lot, right? Where, like, if you continue to spend your money with people that are doing this, they're pulling off these, this craziness, or that, you can smell, you can tell when something smells funny. Right. I mean, you don't have to be around them to tell sometimes. There's, listen to your gut sometimes. And then how you spend your money is a big deal. I loved the idea of homages. Homages were something that I think a lot of us really loved and collected the hell out of. We all had that one book where we'd always collect the homages, right? You buy them every time. It's gotten so bad that I've gone from being that homage collector to I will not buy another one. It's just I can't do it anymore. It's not worth it to me. Now, every once in a while there's going to be something that's good and that I'm going to go, okay, I'm going to break this rule, but I just can't do it anymore. It's gotten too ridiculous. Like you said, something's starting to smell a little funny. It's starting to be a little weird.
Who said it? Buddy Love said it. I smell shit.
Yeah, the homages, at least they used to be creative, right?
Yeah.
And now it just seems like they're not even trying. I mean,
it's like they're phoning it in, man. Come on. They just throw a cover together and say, hey, we're doing another.
It'll be interesting, come C2, because C2 Ito is like the next big one that does a lot of variants again, before San Diego. It'll be interesting. And I would bet my money that you're not even going to see half the variants that you saw last year. And I think that's good. We had to get to a point. We had to get to a breaking point, right? It had to get worse before it gets better. And I'm sure there's still a little bit of pain. And listen, there's so many things going against the comic book market, regardless of whether it's Spec or Silver Age Keys. There's so much going against it right now that even if we start to fix one or two of those things, you're going to see an increase in value again.
Yes.
And to answer your question, Brian, from earlier, is like, how are we responsible? Like, how do we fix it? And you made a good point about new community members and a lot of people that came in 2020 and 2021, especially. If you came in there, and you're still in it now, it's not you're looking at this saying like, this isn't a good place to be. Like, this isn't a good community for me. Not only because of the prices, but because of some of the craziness, that's happened within the infighting within the community, and some of the
toxic,
where people are putting value, So we have to be responsible in a way of kind of guiding people away from certain things. And we used to say here, and a lot of people said this, is like, buy what you love and collect what you love, buy what you love. But we're almost to a point where there's some people, the newbies. And that's not a negative connotation because we've all been newbies, right? Every single person in this chat, every single person on this panel has been a newbie. You almost have to steer them a little bit, force the hand just a little bit, just explain like, hey guys, if you do this, I don't know what your expected outcome is. If it's what you think the person is telling you that's selling you this book, it's probably not the case. Like, do your own research and realize if I spend X on this book, Am I okay with that book being half X, a quarter X? Do I like it that much right now? Do I need it in my collection that bad right now that I have to pay top dollar for it? Or am I just being sold a fake,
Yes.
bill of goods?
Still buy what you love. Still buy what you love. Just don't buy recklessly.
You gotta be smart.
Yes.
You gotta be smart about it.
Do your research also. That's the most important thing. Here's another thing that I think that is going to be very important moving forward. I think that, and this is something we can do as content creators, and actually we're doing it tonight right here, which is very important with looking at this old Wizard magazine and doing these check-ins and stuff. We need to start telling some of these new people, like, hey, their first appearances and variants aren't the only thing out there to collect. There's cool other things to collect. There's origin stories. There's second appearances. Love people that collect niches. I collect anything with UFOs on the cover, right? I look for them. I
do throne covers.
There you go. Throne covers, moon covers, skull covers. Here's a really cool one. Creator firsts. Go find those. The first time Frank Miller did Daredevil, the first time Todd McFarlane did Spider-Man, letter pages. I love collecting letter pages, or where comics where famous people have written in letter pages. Frank Miller wrote into letter pages as a kid.
Yeah.
Todd McFarlane wrote into letter. There's so many cool things to collect, and those things were popular back at the time period when you were what you were just showing, the 90s. That was such a big part of comic book collecting. As a matter of fact, it was such a big part that you used to go into a comic book shop and the comic book shop talk would always be around, like, what are the 3 books? And it was usually like Amazing Spider-Man 300, something else, and Daredevil 158. Daredevil 158. Matter of fact, I bet you if you look in those old Wizards, Daredevil 158 is probably valued at more than the majority of keys that we think are keys right now, because it was the first time Frank Miller wrote or drew Daredevil, and that is in the series, and that was a big deal. We don't care about those things anymore.
I read there was a whole article in one of them that I read. Yep. Yeah, I love.
So that's
that,
what
Robert.
We should do.
I love what. Yeah, I was going to say this. I'm working on my Robert Plancarte was saying I'm working on my X-Men, my Claremont X-Men run.
Yeah.
I was just going to say I did the Fantastic Four run from John Byrne. Like these are the things that you can collect. And I saw a lot of people saying influencers, this and that, but let's not get it mistaken here. Like, there's got to be personal accountability as a collector. Yes. You have to just because if somebody fooled you once, like fool me once, fool me twice, everybody knows the saying. So, like, maybe we've all been led astray for a certain. We've all got a little overzealous. We've all jumped the gun on things. But if you don't learn from your own mistakes and you keep doing it over and over, then you can't be helped. You know what I mean? And if we're in a place where people are just going to continue to make the same mistakes over and over, then it's going to be tough to bounce back from this. But if people could get a little bit more knowledgeable, we start making content that isn't just like, guys, run out and buy this book. What's the next hot spec book? Who's rumored for the... If we start making videos like this more, right? And people get a little smarter, they get a little bit more tight with their money because, times are getting a little rough. Kind of reset, where do I want to spend my money? Somebody said it in the chat, set a budget. Start doing that, we get maybe MCU and DCU get better writing. I think this thing has a chance to turn around a lot faster than the last crash.
Well,
right?
Yeah.
As we always say, and sometimes it just happens and we can't do anything about it, Brian.
Sometimes it may be good, sometimes it may be shit.
This is true.
I agree.
What can you do?
Yeah, I agree.
Oh God. But we can do 2-3 hours on this. I'm sure we could continue to pull up Wizards, which I would definitely love to do on future shows.
It's fun, right?
It's a lot of fun. There's so much good stuff in there. Like, one of the things, and I wanted to bring this up, but I want to save time to do a quick Black Adam review or reaction, we'll call it. It was talking about poly bags. And Brian, you probably know this one. It's how the big thing is taking the book out of the poly bag considered damage. And for a while it was.
Yeah.
That book was almost like incomplete. You know, it was a damaged book because it was taken out of the poly bag. Then it became that people would open the poly bag with like a razor, and then they would use a lighter to seal it again. And that was okay. Then it became, guys, if you leave the book in a poly bag, it's going to get fucked up. It's going to get yellowed. So it took like 4 or 5 years for them to figure out, take them out of their poly bags, read them, and then take care of them. But for the longest time, it was considered a damaged book if it came out of the poly bag. And it was like those it was like the, you know, where you write in and you say these things. I mean, those were great in Wizard. And it was the pot, like, for like, I want to say a good 3 or 4 or 5 issues in a row, there was like 2 questions a month on poly bags, and it was crazy. I mean,
oh yeah, because we were buying, if I remember correctly, a lot of us were doing this. You would buy a copy that you would read, a copy that you keep in your poly bag.
That one guy was talking about that. I mean, it's, you know, but terrible. Yeah, they fuck your book up over time.
Why are you calling me out?
Yeah, Guy Forge. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, man, that's great stuff.
Yes, I still have some of the wizards in the bags.
Hey, you know what?
Yes.
At this point, leave them.
I know.
Yeah, with the old school AOL discs, and you know what was great about Wizard back in the day? I actually just did on my channel. I just did a big, huge segment on the Chromium set, the Series 4 Chromium set that had the die cut Spider-Man one, and they were just beautiful, and they were had refractors, and I'm surprised those things don't go crazy. You know, there was a point where like some of the Prism ones went crazy, you know, and people were grading them.
I'm still waiting, Brian.
Yeah.
I'm still waiting for my 2 long boxes of Image comics to shoot up too.
Yeah.
Yeah, there you go. Brian, you made you said something about your channel, so perfect segue. Tell us a little bit about what you guys do over there. Tell us. I know you're still doing the top 10 with Chris, right?
With
Ben.
With Stein. So
Stein. I don't know why I said Chris, but yeah, Ben Stein.
No worries.
Tell us a little bit about what you got going on.
So I started a new channel about 8 months ago called Beyond Wednesdays. And we do live shows every Wednesday and Saturday. It's comic. I mean, it's a lot about comics, but it's also, you know, a lot nostalgia based, you know, 80s and 90s toys and you know, collectibles and everything like that. A lot of it market. We like to look at the market and, you know, cool things that you might be able to, you know, have. I always love that moment, like when your mom or dad calls you and be like, "Hey, there's a box here of your stuff that we forgot to give you," and you go back and there's like, you know, these things, yeah. And so like those things, you know, obviously are worth money. So I love to go and find those toys or those music memorabilias or, you know, those T-shirts, those ticket stubs that are worth money. So I like to spotlight that stuff. I do the Hot 10 show every Friday with Stein. Me and Stein have been doing that for like 3 years now, and it's a lot of fun. We do it with Richie from Popcorn Culture, who is another great content creator. So we do that every Friday. I do Tuesday nights over at Simple Man's channel. Shout out to Brian Wood and the Simple Man crew. Love doing that, and I really just enjoy making content. I think YouTube's just, it's become such a fun thing and a fun place. I hate to say it, but I feel like there's more community being a YouTube content creator than there is being a comic book content creator. You know what I mean? Like, I feel like there's just like, and you kind of said, there's this weird toxicity behind the scenes that goes on in the comic book world. And for whatever reason, there's less of that in the YouTube content creation world. I mean, it's there, but there's less of it. And I think that's because creating content is so much fun. It's so much fun to come and do this, to get the immediate response from the fans. So that's why I love doing live shows. And then I also have a show I do with my best friend in the world, my Keith Obit, who is we have a show called The Bogcast that we've, you know, over a couple hundred episodes now, where we interview musicians and artists and actors and stuff, and then we just kind of do commentary on what's going on in the world and funny stuff, and we do that every Thursday night on The Bogcast.
You are a busy man.
Hey man, I love doing it, and on top of it, you know, it's nice to stay in the iron, or keep the iron in the fire. You know what I mean? Because that's how I pay my bills now. I buy and sell collectibles. And you know, when you're constantly talking about it and you're constantly dealing with other people that talk about it, it's a smart move. So not only do I enjoy it, but it helps me out.
There you
Sure.
go.
Hey, I mean, all you have to do is look at Brian's page, and you could tell that he loves this stuff, right? Because like you could just read through the videos and see the frequency of live shows, which, I mean, you got to prepare for that. Like a lot of the times you're not just sitting down, right? Like you're preparing for these things. So
people don't
you
realize
can tell
how,
just by taking a quick scan that you know that this guy loves, you know, doing this stuff, you know?
I'm glad you brought that up. And so for everybody out there that doesn't know what it takes to create these programs, it's not just go jump on and shoot the shit. That can happen. Don't get me wrong. A lot of times that can happen and it's fun and it comes out good. But it takes a lot of work to decide what you're going to talk about, doing research, you know, creating graphics, editing stuff. People don't realize how crazy long it takes to edit videos. So it's a lot of work, but it's fun. That's the only reason I do it.
Very good.
Nice, man. Nice.
We started a little late. We're running a little late, but I want to talk Black Adam real quick. So I know me and Guy just saw it this weekend. Brian, you had said...
Yep, I seen it.
Okay. So I don't want to do like a play-by-play, but I just want to give a quick reaction, see what people in the chat thought. Guy, how do you want to do this, Guy? I'll let you because we had some revelations after seeing it.
Good or bad?
I don't know. Yeah, it depends on if you like
funny,
movies.
That's for sure.
It's definitely going to be funny. So, okay, we watched the movie, obviously. We had a couple mishaps during the movie. Let's just put it that way. We're in the theater, and for some reason, we didn't know where it was coming from. We found out where it was coming from after we turned around and, like, looked. But, like, there was a goddamn shadow of a number 2 on the screen
the entire time.
The entire fucking time. And every time I turn to Matt, like I looked at him and I go, like the guy, like they're saying something in the movie and he goes, well, how many times do you think we're gonna go? And I go, you think 2 times? I go, do you think it's gonna be 2 times? Like every time I had a chance to say something about the number 2, I said it, like because I was like so fucking annoyed by it. And I'm like, oh, it's gonna go away, Matt. Don't worry, it's gonna go away. It got darker, and all of a sudden, it's not there. The first like turn towards the sun, all of a sudden, there's the number 2, and I'm like, this is bad. It was really bad. So that just made us like upset, obviously, because I'm like, why can we not go to the movies and be okay? Last time we went to go see, it wasn't Batman. It was the one before that. Whatever it was, there was this guy just screaming at the movie theater.
Oh, No Way Home.
No Way Home. Yeah, I mean,
the second half of the movie after the additional after Tobey Maguire showed up.
I don't even remember.
It was unrelenting screaming.
I can't
the
deal
entire
with that.
time.
The guy
Couldn't watch the movie.
The guy literally like was sitting there and like just would scream. I felt bad to a point because I'm like, is there something wrong with the guy? I was like, is he okay?
Yeah, really? That's
is
what
he okay? Like I didn't know, like Tourette's, like something's going on. Like I was like, but I think he was just excited. My man like just started to go, yo, William Dafoe. And I'm like,
it was crazy. I've never experienced anything like
probably
that.
Probably like on the spectrum or something.
He was just saying.
He was getting out
like,
of his seat and walking down the aisle.
Name,
and then going back to his seat.
Not even like the character, like the actor's name. That's what you scream.
Oh god.
So that was another story. But going back to this.
Back to Black Adam, yeah.
I enjoyed it. I enjoyed the movie. Matt's going to talk about all the action because that's what it was. Matt's going to talk about the editing because that's what was his problem with it. But listen, I got what I went for. It was The Rock as Black Adam, which I've been waiting to see for a long time. And then there were other characters in the movie that we've obviously seen them other places. Can I just put up I made a little picture, like literally like 2 seconds before we got on here. Yeah. Because I wanted Matt to laugh. And how many people do we have in here? Almost 145 people. Like, Brian, have you ever seen the movie The Rundown?
The Rundown. Who is
with The Rock and
with The Rock?
Stifler?
Yes. And Stifler?
Yes. Old school.
Okay, so this is The Rundown, starring Dwayne The Rock Johnson and Anthony. You know it's him, Mackie.
This was the two revelations that we left the movie theater, we got in the car, and I said two things. I said, number one, why was Anthony Mackie just in a DC movie? I said, because he literally, like, Aldous Hodge literally had the
I'll put it back
same
up in a
way-
second, but
same way of speaking, the same mannerisms, played a character that is a bird. Literally, it was like they said, all right, you're going to go watch Anthony Mackie play the Falcon, and then you're just going to do the same thing.
Copy it, yeah.
Because it was mind blowing. I was just like, how is nobody talking about this? How similar the two characters were with their mannerisms, the way they spoke,
the jokes, the delivery of the joke. Brian, you know how they make movies, right? Yeah, we all know. We're going to sit down. We're going to read a script, right? So when they brought this guy in, and they sat him down and gave him the script for Hawkman. And he started reading it, and they go, doesn't seem similar to someone we know already? No, this is not coming across at all like the other guy. And did they just go, no, we're good with it?
Yeah. I bet you, I wouldn't be surprised if they're like, hey, this is what we want. Because let's be honest, Warner Brothers and DC have been shitting the bed consistently for the past couple of years. And the other weird thing to me was, I love The Rock and stuff, but how come everybody else had Egyptian accents and he didn't?
Yeah, I know. There was good, and there was bad. And Comic Book Countdown, the actual Hawkman is nothing like the Black Adam version. Exactly. Like they just said, you're Falcon. You're Falcon right now.
Like how come? Yeah, we sat there. We sat there outside my house, like when we got home from the movie, and we looked at each other and we go, "How come?" Now we haven't seen the movie's been out for what, 2 weeks already?
2 weeks.
How come no one is fucking talking about this?
That's a great point.
This guy's character, the portrayal of Hawkman, is exactly like Falcon. You could intertwine.
And then this is fitting. Guy, you almost chat on Christopher Walken for a moment. And I basically also said to Guy, I was like, Guy,
the only thing that was missing from this movie was Christopher Walken.
And then it would have been the rundown. Because it felt like it was like The Rock comes in to save a city that's being controlled by somebody that are mining its resources. And then he takes out the entirety of the people occupying. I was like, have we seen that before? Oh yeah, it was the rundown with The Rock. Like it was literally the same movie with superpowers. That's all it was. So I was a little bit lower on it than Guy was. It was fun to watch. The action scenes were really good. There was just too little story for me. The post editing to me felt not as good as it could have been. And it was, as the Butchers said, it was The Rock in a superhero cape, and that's kind of what you got. I mean, if you were expecting more than that, though, I kind of am saying, what were you really thinking? But it's good to watch once. Chinmo says the rundown did it better, and I think I agree. I think I enjoyed the The rundown you could watch 5 times, 10 times. Black Adam, how many times are you gonna watch Black Adam?
Can I ask you a question though? How creepy
maybe.
How creepy does Anthony Mackie look like standing behind him over here?
We're calling him Anthony Mackie.
I was gonna say, he looks like what a great screen cap you got there.
Thank you.
It looks like an animation character.
Listen, by the way, I photoshopped in literally 30 seconds while you guys were talking.
Not bad.
Also, I don't want to take away that the best part of the movie and probably one of the better performances was Pierce Brosnan as
Brosnan.
Dr. Fate.
Who's Charles Bronson?
I don't know what I just said. Unbelievable. He killed it. He absolutely killed it. So
my favorite.
Really good character and a really good portrayal, I would say.
You know, it's a good character once people start talking like the same way they talked about Killmonger after Black Panther, right?
Yep.
Now everybody wants him back, and he was that good. And everybody is that I've heard that seen it, and I agree. Also, Dr. Fate was the best part of the movie.
Yeah, 100%. And I'll tell you this much: I read up on it too. They had a scene that they cut from the after credit scene was Dr. Fate coming back. So I don't think that's the last we've seen of Dr. Fate, to be honest.
I got a question for you guys.
Yeah.
So my my biggest want from DC and Warner Brothers is to get into the dark, gritty world of DC again, right? And I think that you can't do that with Batman because that's the obvious thing. I think the best way to do that is going the magic route, right? The Constantine, the Swamp Thing, the Justice League Dark,
It's right there.
Zatanna. And right, that feels like this is the lead into that. Like this could be the lead into that.
And that they got the guy to do it, right? With James Gunn. I mean, they know, we talked about this last week or 2 weeks ago. They know what they're signing up for when you sign up a guy like that.
Beautiful.
Right? Yeah, beautiful. So, I think
and
DC,
if you're reading,
maybe they're head. I really hope they are.
If you're reading DC right now, they kind of have that play going with Zatanna and that whole grittiness, where she loses her magic and all that stuff. Like this feels like something like they could totally pull off in the movie world with the world that DC has now. And here's the other question. How long do you guys think it is until Gunn brings in Lobo?
Oh, I think that happens right away. I'm going to be honest with you.
Right.
I think that happens right away.
Very quickly.
If he knows what's good for him, and he does, that's a character you almost start off with as he comes in.
I love it because the competition I feel like is going to heat up. Like right now, it felt like they were just friendly. Marvel was like, DC, I'm not worried.
Yep.
There's going to be competition, and it's going to get a little nasty. And I'm there, and I'm here for it because that's just going to mean things are going to be better.
Sometimes you need competition to be better. We know that.
I'm all for that. Brian, what'd you think of Black
Adam? I thought it was great. It was great. Other than the fact that there was a couple little things, I knew it was going to be a little on the cheese factor with some of the stuff, because it's The Rock. We know that he's not the greatest actor in the world, but I agree. I think that Pierce Brosnan, Dr. Fate saved it. I really liked Adam Smasher. I thought that was great. For some reason, I love those type of characters. Yeah. And
can I ask you a question about Adam Smasher? He didn't give you like Mark Ruffalo vibes the whole time?
Oh yeah.
The whole time?
Yeah.
Okay, just asking. That's all.
Yeah, that's what I mean. That's why when you said like, do you think how do you think that went in when they were at the table read? I have a feeling that they probably just like they did with Suicide Squad, where and that type of stuff. We want to make it funny now because of Deadpool. I also think that part of this was them going, no, like how it is in Avengers or how it is there. And I totally can see. Yeah, I could totally see Warner Brothers doing something that stupid.
Yeah, couple decisions I could have done without. But yeah, I agree with you. I think it was a good movie. I enjoyed it. It was what I went for. So.
Yeah, I see a lot of people in the chat talking about Green Lantern. I think that Green Lantern is where we get Lobo introduced, right? Because Green Lantern's going to be like this space sector thing. They had to cut the budget, but it's easier for them to do space stuff than it is Earth stuff, because of technology. So why don't they have like Lobo just out there cruising around in space and the Green Lanterns run into him? That's a perfect way to bring in Lobo.
Oh yeah. Nice. Thank God no one is like Mark Ruffalo.
Yes, they need to get rid of him.
Oh God. Yeah, man. So man. I mean, I think it's a good step in the direction I think you want to go, right? For all movies. I feel like I could use a Marvel movie like we just saw with Black Adam right now. Yeah. It's like I feel like you've just been giving me things that I don't want to see.
Well, next week we're gonna be in. I think for
next week we'll find out.
For a little bit of an awakening, I think. This week. Sorry, yeah.
I agree 100%. I was just going to say that. I think Black Panther is that movie. 100%. There's no way that can fail, especially with Namor.
Here it is. Here's my question. Doesn't it kind of have to be?
It has to be. You're right. Yeah, it has to be. If it doesn't, you're right. 100%. Yeah.
If it doesn't hit on all cylinders, it's like. What do you do at this point? Like I have no more faith in you. Like
this is like the home team losing the first 2 games at home. It's like game 3. It's like you don't have to win, but you have to win. You know what I mean? Like,
yeah.
Like they have to do a really good job. It doesn't have to be their best movie, but it has to be their best movie of Phase 4.
Does it kill Black Adam at the box office?
Yes.
Like demolish it.
Yes.
it should.
I think it does too.
Should, but
I think it does too. As much as
based on just emotional response alone, right? Everybody wants to go see it to see how they handle the Chadwick Boseman thing.
I agree.
Think that alone kind of makes people get out of their house and into the theaters to see it.
It'll be interesting to see the drop off from week 1 to week 2 because it's been horrible. So if you see a strong week 2, then you know, like, yes, this is a good thing. You know.
Hate to put you on the spot, but would you have been okay with them just replacing Chadwick and putting another T'Challa in there?
So yes, and here's why. Because I think that it's really sad that we lost Chadwick Boseman, right? He was the perfect. He was so good for it, and then you know he had, just him alone is that hero's journey, hero struggle thing, right? And it tugs at our heartstrings. But Chadwick Boseman is not, and he even think he would agree with this. He's not bigger than the character of T'Challa, right? That character is such an important character, and what it means to the Marvel universe and to millions of other people around the world. You know, and they can do that in a smart way by bringing in his offspring, right? And not just bringing in another character to quote unquote replace him as Black Panther, right? Now you can still have T'Challa. You could still, you know, play within these weird lines that, his name is T'Challa. You know, we could still kind of have these tales, but you have to have Black Panther be T'Challa. You have to. I think that's just the way it is, and I think it's really smart.
A lot of people have that opinion. I think a lot of people have that opinion.
We literally said the same thing you just said last week, and I think it was the first time we actually said that on the show. Because when it first happened, you know, we were just like, "Hey, what's gonna?" You know, we were kind of not really thinking about recasting, but bringing it back up. It was like we said the same thing. The character is just too damn important to just have him gone forever. Now, so you lost two things, right? You lost Chadwick and you lost T'Challa. So I hope they take the route that, because it's the only route that's left at this point.
And they can honor his legacy, right? By that character that he played being such a like a quote unquote beacon of hope. You know, his son will always look to him to be him, and you can always bring up that character. And at the same time, it's kind of like good for Chadwick's legacy, because this wouldn't happen if his legacy wasn't so important.
Yeah.
I'm really, that to me, that was the 1000% the most important thing to happen, was them not fouling that up. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Don't mess that up. If they mess that up, they're going to hurt more than just, you know, a Marvel character. They're going to hurt the movie, production studio itself. People are going to be so angry. It's just, it would be such a mistake.
Yeah. William had a good point. He said, if Batman, Superman, other characters can be played by different actors, they should have recast. I mean, it's a very, very legitimate point. You have some of the best. I mean, if we stop with Christopher Reeve because he's the best Superman, what happens?
Yeah. And I think at some point you do see a recast in some way, shape, or form. Like you said, whether it's a kid or whether it's a variant or Secret Wars, whatever. I think I read that he said that that's what he wanted. You know, and that, you know, report was, I saw it once and then it kind of just faded away, you know, so I'm sure more of that information is going to come out, especially after this movie's over, right? I think you'll start to hear that conversation again, so it'll be interesting. I hate to have high hopes right now for a movie because the last couple times I've been disappointed, but I'm optimistic for this weekend, and we'll see what happens. So yeah, it'll be fun to talk about it next week.
The only one we chose right not to see in theaters
was Thor.
Yeah. And we chose right. We chose right because that was a dumpster fire of all dumpster fires.
I'm super worried because that guy's going to be doing a Star Wars thing here soon, and that's got me even more worried. I was a big fan of him for a long time, but then
I
can only be you can only be funny so many, like humor's great, but too much of it in the wrong place is gross.
Star Wars is not the place for that.
No,
his style doesn't really fit there. I mean, but
no.
We'll see. We'll see. I love that James Gunn called him out, though. That was the best thing. But I think we're going to get out of here. Unless you guys have anything else quick that you guys want to touch on.
We're good.
No, man. I just want to say thanks. I had fun. Let's do this more often, man. I'd love to come hang out with you guys. We'll get you guys over on the channel, and everybody out there watching, hit those thumbs up, sub up if you're not already subbed.
I appreciate. Yeah, let us know, dude. We'll be happy to come on whenever, and we'll definitely do this again. All Bryan's links are in the description of this video. Go check it out. Sub him up. YouTube, IG, all that good stuff. Check him out. Guys, if you're new, sub us up. If you haven't yet, please hit the thumbs up if you can. Leave a comment if you're watching on the rewind. We always love checking what you guys have to say after the fact. Check us out on Spotify, Audible, all the good stuff. If you want to hear the audio version of this is probably a good show to listen to. It's a little longer and not a ton of visual stuff, so you can kind of just listen to it while you're driving to work or something like that. I don't think we have anything coming up right now other than next Monday, guy, right? So
yeah, next Monday. We got a couple things in the works, guys. I've been talking to a couple artists out there. Some crazy cool stuff, not just drawings and paintings and stuff like that. So stay tuned. Artist Spotlight is going to be even bigger and better. And we might have maybe Cash or Trash it next week. Maybe
there you go.
Because you guys have been asking. But you know what they've also been asking for, maybe on the way out, Matt. I don't know if Brian's a big fan of Batgirl or not.
Well, can you click it?
Yeah, no, I got it. Don't worry.
Okay,
I have it
ahead,
already.
click.
So
I gotta take a
Defects.
piss.
Thanks for
I'll
coming
see you
by.
next week.
Ciao.
All right, Defects. It's time to turn it up a little. I think you guys have been playing it nice lately. We need to get a little raunchy. What do you think? Can Batgirl handle that? I just wanted to let you guys know you are hot shit. Keep doing what you're doing, because I love it. And Defects fans, you're hot shit as well. Maybe even a little hotter. Keep supporting. And keep doing what you do. Because this girl loves it. You guys are awesome. Love you all. Big kisses from me to you.
I mean, welcome, Brian. That's all. Defects. See you next week.